Hello, my name is Greg. I want to tell you a story that happened to me and a mature lady. I had just finished my residency at medical school and was an energetic young doctor ready to move mountains. I had been a member of various medical societies for a number of years, and recently I was presented with an opportunity to work at a medical symposium. I arrived at the hotel where the symposium meeting was held. It was a big event for me. During the week, the committee had many other meetings at the hotel, but here it came. I was sitting in the hotel lobby when I saw the chairwoman of the committee sitting at the other end of the room. She was about 50 years old and looked very good for her age. She had a confident presence that drew people in, and I couldn't help but feel a little intimidated. I cleared my throat and said, "Diana Parker, hello, I'm Dr. Wilson. I was on the committee with you. I just wanted to come up to you to introduce myself." "Dr. Wilson, of course I remember you." "It's so nice to see you again," she said warmly, her eyes lighting up with recognition. "What are you doing here in the hotel lobby?" I told Diana that my train was only in the evening, and I was going to stay in the hotel for a while to avoid sitting at the station. We chatted for a while about the symposium, the medical field, and our careers. I found myself enjoying her company more than I had anticipated. Diana was charming, intelligent, and had a sense of humor that made the conversation flow easily. After a while, Diana stood up abruptly and said, "I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, Greg." Diana came back a few minutes later and handed me a card. It was a card to open the door to her hotel room. "If you're going to spend the whole day here, Greg, there's no point in staying in the hotel lobby. I have a suite upstairs with several rooms. So if you want to relax, come have some champagne and a drink," she said with a knowing smile. I was pretty sure what she was up to then. Diana told me that she would be alone all day, as her husband wouldn't arrive until late in the evening. At that moment, all the pieces came together in my head. She had gone off on business, and I couldn't believe what had just happened. Maybe I realized it was wrong, but my heart was racing when I opened the door to Diana's hotel room. It was a beautiful corner room with a stunning view of the city, with large windows that let in the warm afternoon sunlight. While I was looking out the window, taking in the view, the door behind me opened and Diana came in. She just sat down on the couch and said, "Greg, I was really hoping you'd come. I'm going to take a shower. You take the champagne on the table and open it. Make yourself comfortable." I heard the water running in the shower and realized that I needed a drink urgently, so I drank a glass of champagne in one gulp. The bubbles tickled my throat, and I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. I poured myself another glass, this time sipping it more slowly, trying to steady my racing heart. Then, from the shower, I heard, "Greg, could you help me for a second?" Diana called. I walked into the bathroom and froze on the spot at the sight of this incredible, mature woman. The steam from the shower filled the room, creating an almost surreal atmosphere. "Greg, would you hand me a towel?" Diana was stepping out of the shower, and for a woman over 50, she was still in amazing shape. Her skin glistened with droplets of water, and her eyes held a mischievous glint. I quickly handed her the towel, trying to keep my composure. Diana took it from my outstretched hand, then hung onto my neck and kissed me passionately. Her lips were soft and insistent, and I felt my resolve crumble in an instant. I gave a little gasp, but she only smiled, took me by the hand, and led me to a huge bed where we plunged into the depths of passion. The intensity of the moment was overwhelming, and we lost ourselves in each other completely. Afterward, we sat catching our breath on the large hotel bed. The room was quiet except for the sound of our breathing, and the afternoon sunlight cast a golden glow over everything. The warmth of the sun added to the feeling of contentment that had settled over us, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. "Greg, it was amazing," Diana cooed, panting slightly. She looked at me with a satisfied smile, her fingers lightly tracing circles on my arm. "I haven't felt this alive in a long time." I smiled back at her, feeling a mix of emotions, excitement, guilt, and something else I couldn't quite place. We lay there in comfortable silence for a while, the occasional sound of distant traffic filtering in from the city below. Diana rolled over onto her side, propping her head up on her hand, her eyes meeting mine. "You know, it's been a long time since I've done something so spontaneous," she said with a hint of vulnerability in her voice. "Sometimes it's good to let go," I replied softly, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. "We all need moments like this." Diana smiled, her eyes searching mine as if trying to understand what I was thinking. She reached for the bottle of champagne, pouring herself another glass, then offering it to me. "To moments we never expect," she said, raising her glass. "To moments we never expect," I echoed, clinking my glass against hers. We both drank, the bubbles dancing on my tongue. I couldn't remember the last time I felt so exhilarated and alive. We spent the next hour just talking about life, about the choices we had made, about the things we regretted and the things we were proud of. Diana spoke of her husband, their marriage, and how they had grown apart over the years. She talked about her children, who were now grown and living their own lives. I listened, feeling a strange connection to her, as if we had known each other for much longer than just a few encounters. "You know, Greg," she said, her voice soft, "I don't think I've ever been this open with anyone in a very long time." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, and I could tell she was baring her soul to me. "Sometimes it's easier to open up to someone you don't have a history with," I replied gently. "There's no baggage, no expectations, just honesty." Diana nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. She leaned in and kissed me again, this time more tenderly. It wasn't the passionate, urgent kiss from before. This was different. It was filled with gratitude, with a sense of comfort that we had found in each other, even if just for a brief moment in time. I looked at the clock on the wall and noticed that the time for my departure was approaching. Reluctantly, I sat up and began to gather my things. Diana watched me, her eyes softening. The reality of the situation was settling in, and a part of me wished I could stay longer, to hold on to this feeling for just a little while more. "Do you really have to go so soon?" she asked, a hint of disappointment in her voice. "I wish I could stay longer, but I can't miss my train," I replied. Diana nodded, understanding, though there was a wistfulness in her eyes. She got up, wrapping the towel around herself, and walked me to the door. Diana saw me off at the door, kissed me one last time, and wished me a safe trip. "Take care, Greg. Maybe we'll see each other again someday," she said, her voice filled with warmth and a hint of hope. I could see that this was as much of an emotional experience for her as it was for me. As I left her room and made my way to the lobby, I couldn't help but replay everything that had just happened in my mind. It felt almost unreal, like a dream. The connection I had felt with Diana was unexpected, but it was something I knew I wouldn't forget anytime soon. The memory of that day stayed with me, a reminder of the unpredictable moments life sometimes throws our way. As I sat on the train later that evening, staring out at the passing landscape, I found myself lost in thought. The rhythmic clattering of the train on the tracks was almost hypnotic, and my mind kept drifting back to Diana. I wondered if she was thinking about me, too, if she was back in her room, staring out at the city, reliving the moments we had shared. There was a sense of bittersweetness to it all, knowing that what we had experienced was fleeting, a brief escape from reality. I thought about what Diana had said about how she hadn't felt alive in so long. I realized that, in a way, I felt the same. The pressures of my career, the long hours, the constant need to prove myself, it had all taken a toll on me. Meeting Diana had reminded me of the importance of connection, of taking a step back and letting go, even if just for a moment. As the train continued its journey, I couldn't help but smile. Life was full of surprises, and sometimes the most unexpected moments were the ones that left the deepest impressions. I knew that, no matter what happened next, the memory of Diana and that afternoon in her hotel room would stay with me, a reminder to embrace the unpredictable, to cherish the connections we make, however brief they may be. The train pulled into my destination, and I gathered my belongings, stepping out onto the platform. The cool evening air hit my face, bringing me back to reality. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm wash over me. Life would go on, and I would return to my responsibilities, my career, my everyday routine. But I would carry the memory of Diana with me, a secret that was mine alone, a beautiful, fleeting moment that had changed something within me. As I walked away from the station, I felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The world seemed a little brighter, the night air a little crisper. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for certain: life was meant to be lived, and sometimes that meant taking risks, embracing the unexpected, and allowing ourselves to truly feel alive.